Meanwhile, Customs and Border Protection agents are overwhelmed with the surge of illegal border crossings, people coming in droves. There now has been over 7,000 illegal Chinese migrant encounters nationwide just in the last month. This is part of between 8 and 10 million people who have crossed into this country on Joe Biden's watch. I spoke with Kansas Senator Roger Marshall yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures about the border crisis underway. Watch.
It's a sad day when the Chinese Communist Party pays more attention to our southern border than the White House does. To your point, 24,000 Chinese nationalists have crossed the border under Joe Biden. Those people have now taken positions throughout the country. They're running their police stations here in New York City. Then they're keeping track of their own folks, making sure they're staying in order. They're the money collectors on the end of the fentanyl as well. They're setting up Confucius schools. They've infiltrated our research, and they're buying farmland next to military bases. All things you've reported on, Maria.
Wow, this is pretty disturbing, what you just heard there. Joining me right now is the Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow. He is the author of several books, The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War. Gordon Chang back with me this morning. Gordon, your reaction to what you just heard from Senator Roger Marshall.
Senator Marshall is absolutely right. The Communist Party is using that open border to infiltrate people who look like saboteurs. And they're linking up with, I think, these secret Chinese facilities like that lab in Reedley, California, that had at least 20 pathogens, including Ebola, and almost 1,000 mice that have been genetically engineered to spread disease. So there is a sabotage risk, which is exceedingly high. And it's not just the Chinese, it's Iranians and Syrians and Venezuelans. You know, it took only 19 terrorists on 9/11 to kill 2,977 Americans on one day. And what we're allowing is thousands of potential saboteurs into our country. There's no words to describe the Biden policy.
There's really no words. You're right. I mean, I just keep asking myself, why? Why? Do they not recognize the national security risk that they have put this country in, the threat that we face as a result of this wide open border?
They don't recognize it. And we know that there are a lot of pro-Iran elements in both the State Department and in the National Security Council. And I just have to assume that this is intentional to create that infrastructure of terrorism in our country. You know, you've got to remember that that 9/11 deal this year that President Biden, he gave clemency to 5 Iranian operatives. Only 2 of them decided to go back to Iran. 3 were released into the U.S. And remember, we're still providing Secret Service protection to mid-level Trump officials because they're under threat of assassination by Iranian operatives.
But you know what? As you're talking, Gordon, we're showing these pictures of Chinese nationals coming into the border. They all look like military-aged men. I mean, it's incredible. It's so obvious here what's taking place. These are not families running from persecution.
Yeah, they're coming across in packs of 5 to 15. There are no family members coming with them. And there's really been a change in composition of the Chinese coming across our border. If you go back a year and a half ago, there were Chinese families coming. That's an indication of people just desperate to leave. You don't see family members in these pictures.
No, you don't. Not at all. Meanwhile, top defense experts are warning Taiwan is growing frustrated with the U.S. and the U.S.'s ability to provide all these promised weapons, saying it is a serious problem. The former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary for Defense for East Asia told the Daily Mail, quote, while always gracious and grateful for American support, Taiwanese interlocutors are beginning to express a growing sense of skepticism and concern about the U.S.'s ability to deter aggression. Gordon, many of these weapons, I'm told, were already paid for, and yet we're not delivering them to Taiwan. Why? Yeah,
there are arms deals that were announced in 2017 that have not yet been completed. And there are a number of problems here. You know, a number of administrations, not just the current one, have been slow-walking arms sales to Taiwan, and that's been deliberate. But now we've got some other problems, and that is we have low stocks of weapons because of Ukraine. And also, we have a Pentagon that in general is not able to conduct operations. You know, there's a problem in the Pentagon, and it's across all the services, it's across administrations. We have no sense of urgency. And even though the Chinese continue to talk about war and prepare for war, you know, we're oblivious. This is going to end up in the destruction of the United States, and that's a real possibility. And it's because of our own government.
Well, it's what I keep hearing from people and viewers, that we're losing our country. People are afraid. We know what the goal of the Communist Party of China is, to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower. Now, the economy there is not doing well. Consumer prices down in China for the second straight month. Concerns are deepening there of deflation in China. The consumer price index down 0.5% year over year and month over month. Xi Jinping warned ahead of the data on Friday that the country's, quote, economic recovery is still at a critical stage. Gordon, what do you want to say about the Chinese economy and its impact on the world?
Yeah, and once you get into a deflationary spiral, which is where China is entering, there's just no coming back. And it's not just consumer prices, that's 0.5%. The producer price index for last month fell 3.0%. That's the 14th straight month of decline in producer prices. So what you have is an economy that is failing. And, you know, Xi Jinping does not believe in consumption as being a basis of the Chinese economy. What he believes, he wants to get the economy ready for war. And so he is emphasizing war production. That, by the way, is crippling the Chinese economy because the military is getting very large shares and larger shares of the Chinese economy. You know, we have a lot of analysts in the U.S. who analyze the Chinese economy like ours. That's completely wrong when you think about Xi Jinping and the way that he views society.
So you don't think this weakening economy in China is going to deter the CCP's aggression? It's been incredibly aggressive on America, incredibly aggressive on Taiwan. Everywhere it operates, it's incredibly aggressive with their debt diplomacy programs. You don't think a weakening economy deters that aggression?
I don't think so, because Xi Jinping has very different goals. And right now, at least, he's in control.
Yeah. Great to see you, Gordon, as always. Thanks very much. Gordon Chang joining us this morning.
Shen Yun brings 5,000 years of culture to the world stage.